Hello, everyone. It's 1 o'clock here on IC Radio. I'm Georgia.
And I'm Lottie. Welcome back to Science at 1, where we bring you the best science, news, gossip, and analysis.
And the best music. On our playlist today, we have a song chosen by each member of our new Science at 1 team, from Sarah Harmer to CeeLo Green.
And on the science menu today, we'll be covering everything from bees to bubbles.
And we'll be hearing some interesting stories about missing lynx and drunk mice.
That's all coming up here at Science at 1.
Lottie, I must say, I'm so excited for this new season of Science at 1.
Me too.
Right? We've got some new team members, but we also have some old favorites for longtime listeners. And we have some really interesting stories to get started on today.
Absolutely. So let's get into it. So just to start the show, our first song today is The Hideout by Sarah Harmer.
That rain out through the screen after a quick rain came so fast that there wasn't time to roll up the window and pull the clothes down off the line. But I don't care, it was so dry and the grass is happy, and I think so am I, 'cause I'm through thinking about you. And for now I'm out at the hideout, far enough outside of town. You can come, you can stay, if there's something you need to get away from. Look at the day dropping away. Hear the traffic on a distant side road down the way. I think the dust has settled on me, but I don't care. It was so calm, I knew I wouldn't stay forever. Knew I'd get some things together and move on. But for now I'm out at the hideout, far enough outside of town. You can come, you can stay, if there's something you need to get away from. I just thought of you, and what you said. Laid out on the pull out. Did you forget? You said you wouldn't forget. Look at that green out through the screen after a quick rain came so fast that there wasn't time to roll up the window and pull the clothes down off the line. But I don't care, it was so dry and the grass is happy, and I think so am I, 'cause I'm through thinking about you. And for now I'm out at the hideout, far enough outside of town. You can come out, you can come out, out when there is no one around. On out at the hideout, far enough from being found. Well, you can come, you can stay, if there's something you need to get away from.
That was The Hideout by Sarah Harmer.
So, our first story today is about bees that have started nesting earlier due to climate change.
Woo!
So let's get started. I'm going to talk about bees for a bit. So this is a story that I found this morning and it really interested me. So it's basically about how active work bees have been recorded in surveys that were done during the Christmas period. And that's really unusual at this time of year because they usually hibernate.
Oh, interesting.
During the cooler months and not active.
Yeah, so what would this mean, like, ecologically? It seems a bit concerning, maybe.
It is worrying, and the fact that it was active worker bees that were recorded shows that the queen has awoken from the hibernation and that they're starting to build new nests. And this is worrying because these nests are at higher risk of failing due to, obviously, there are not many flowers at this time of year and therefore not so much food for the bees.
Yeah, for sure.
And also, it had quite a mild winter, but then we had a cold snap. I don't know if you remember.
Yeah, it was really freezing a couple
of weeks ago. So obviously the bees are like, oh, warm, and they're active, building their nests, having a new year, vibe.
New year, new nest.
Exactly. and but then if there's a cold snap, the nest will die, and this could lead to the failure of many bee nests and therefore have an impact on UK bee populations.
Yeah, I mean, we've all seen what happens in movies like the Bee Movie, right?
Yeah.
So it could be quite a disaster.
It could. And obviously bees are very, very important, goes without saying. And that could have an important effect on other species in the ecosystem and for us as well, because pollination obviously is very important for us. So climate change, that's an effect of climate change, which is quite worrying.
Yeah, would we see this with any other types of insects? Is it just bees?
Probably a more unwanted. I don't want to say that they're unwanted because I love invertebrates, but another possibly unwanted invertebrate to make a return in the winter months are ticks.
Oh!
Yeah, not very slay. Ticks are now active in the winter months, which I personally, as someone who I would say I'm outdoors quite a lot in the winter months. Well, I try to be.
Yeah, I spend more time outside in the summer months, but I find ticks so scary. Where I'm from, they're quite common, and when I would do ecology fieldwork back in the day, I would always be getting ticks. Not always, but often enough that it was concerning, and
Me too.
It can be really quite frightening when you just find a little
as
guy on you.
Fellow ecology girly, it is quite a worry, especially with Lyme disease. I don't know if Lyme disease is in Canada.
Yeah, Lyme disease is pretty common on the East Coast. Well, in any case, that's enough about ticks. Let's get back to the music. Here is Get a Life by Daffo.
Now when you find yourself looking for something to
was Get a Life by Daffo.
For our next story, we're going to be talking about how environmental disasters can lead to social instability.
It's very topical. We are currently seeing how the California wildfires have destroyed thousands and thousands of people's homes, and people are starting to question how to rebuild and recover from something like that.
To talk some more about this, we have Maddie Hutchinson with us in the studio, who's been studying in the emerging field of climate gentrification. Welcome to the show, Maddie.
Hello.
Hi, thanks for having me.
So thought you could talk to us about what is climate gentrification and why you want to talk about it today.
Yeah, so it's an emerging field of study, and it's generally looking at the resulting housing affordability issues that come from climate change and climate disasters. And so this is more than just housing affordability. It also is seen in like loss of community identity, as well as cultural disruption. And generally we're seeing this in low income and minority communities that essentially are bearing the brunt of climate impacts. And this is generally due to the lack of investment in policies in these communities.
What kinds of climate events that we've seen so far are leading to this kind of socio-demographic shift?
Yeah, so we've most recently really seen this in Florida. I think that's the part of North America in particular that has had the most kind of research put into it, and that's generally because there is a huge disparity in especially like waterfront communities. What we're seeing is that there's wealthier populations actually moving further inland, and they're leaving lower income households to be in these areas that are most at risk of flooding and coastal erosion, which is interesting because historically it was actually the waterfront properties that were the most valuable. And obviously now with lack of insurance and such, we're just totally seeing a complete change.
So how might this play a role in the recovery of the California wildfires?
Yeah, so, one of the things I think people are kind of unsure about is to see really how are communities going to look like going forward, because we're seeing communities be completely obliterated. Whether it's a wealthy suburb or, a lower income area, they're both starting from scratch. So it'll be interesting to see if the kind of more fertile or better communities are going to go towards wealthier households. Are we going to see a mix? I think the fact that it's happened in California where there is people, regardless of your socioeconomic status, getting affected, we probably will actually see more research in this area than we have before. I think especially like having like celebrities getting affected, I think is definitely bringing a lot of light to this situation. But ultimately, I think it's going to come down to our community's going to want to actually invest in this beyond just looking at the big picture.
And is there anything small scale that we can do to mitigate future gentrification in the face of the climate crisis?
I mean, ultimately, it comes down to will, the municipal level invest in actually, keeping track of things like coastal flooding maps or actually properly zoning areas. A lot of towns, especially when you try to do this research, there's just no data available. So ultimately, it's kind of like just a guessing game. And so we really need to make sure policymakers are actually putting money not towards just, we need to, solve the climate crisis. We also have to look at it in, a smaller scale.
Interesting. Well, thank you so much for coming in, Maddie.
Thank you so much for having me.
It is our pleasure to learn about such an interesting and emerging field of research. So now let's get back to the music. Here is I Want You by Savage Garden.
Anytime I need to see your face, I just close my eyes, and I am taken to a place where your crystal mind, a magenta feeling, take a shelter in the base of my spine, straight like a chicken cherry cola. I don't need to try to explain, I just hold on tight, and if it happens again, I'ma move so silently to the arms and the lips and the face of the human cannibal that I need to, I want to. Well, come and stand and lean what hit you when I get to you. I want you, I don't know if I need you, but ooh, I gotta find out. Ooh, I want you, I don't know if I need you, but ooh, I gotta find out. I'm the kind of person who endorses a deep commitment. Getting coffee, getting perfect is what I live for. Put a look and then I smell a perfume. It's like I'm down on the floor and I don't know what I'm in for. Conversation, there's a time and place in the interaction of a lover and a mate. At the time I'm talking, using symbols, using what can be likened to a deep sea diver who is swimming with the raincoat. Well, come stand a little bit closer, breathe in and get a bit higher. You'll never know what hit you when I get to you. I want you, I don't know if I need you, but ooh, I gotta find out. Ooh, I want you, I don't know if I need you, but ooh, I gotta find out. Anytime I need to see your face, I just close my eyes and I'm taken to a place where your crystal mind and magenta feelings take up shelter in the base of my spine, shit like a chicken cherry cola. I don't need to try to explain, I just hold on tight, and if it happens again, I'ma move so silently to the arms and the lips and the face of the human cannibal that I need to. I want you. Ooh, I want you. I don't know if I need you, but ooh, I gotta find out. Ooh, I want you. I don't know if I need you, but ooh, I gotta find out. So can we find out?
That was I Want You by Savage Garden.
Now, in some lighter news after our last segment, we have another contributor, Lizzie, here to talk to us about some recent lynx sightings in Scotland. Welcome to the show, Lizzie.
Hello. Hi, Georgia. Hi, Lottie. I'm so excited to talk about these really cool big cats.
Woo!
Very excited as well. So can you tell us what happened? Why is this notable at the moment?
Part of the reason that this is so notable is that, lynx aren't supposed to be in Scotland. Eurasian lynx have been extinct in Scotland for 1,300 years. That's quite a bit of time.
Wow, yeah.
And according to Rewilding Britain, that's mainly due to habitat loss and hunting.
Oh, interesting.
Sorry.
Well, yeah, I have so many questions. I don't even know where to start. I would guess, where and when were these lynx spotted?
So there was a pair of lynx that were spotted on Wednesday the 8th. It was in the evening, late at night, near the town of Kingusie, right outside of Cairngorms National Park. And so that's way up in the Scottish Highlands.
Oh, interesting. So what happened? So they were spotted, and then did they just let them go wander around? Were they roaming around in the Highlands?
So staff from the Royal Zoological Society of Scotland, that's a mouthful. I'll just call them the RZSS from now on.
Perfect.
They decided they're going to go out and trap these lynx because they probably were not there wildly. Someone probably let them out there. And initially they thought they're going to have a lot of trouble because Cairngorms is a national park. It's huge. And lynx are also known to be super cryptic. They're nocturnal animals. They are carnivores, so they don't like to be super loud. They're super quiet. They thought it was going to be really difficult. But actually, they were
they were caught pretty quickly because when they baited the traps, they were not afraid of the zookeepers. They had these huge flashlights because it was the middle of the night. And then when they were caught, they were transported to the Edinburgh Zoo for quarantine.
Isn't that strange, though, that the lynxes weren't scared of people? I would have thought they would have been quite scared to see the people.
I mean, normally they are very scared of people. They try to avoid them as much as possible. Humans are really loud creatures, and just from the point of view of like a predator, you want to stay quiet so you can sneak up on your prey. If a big human is traipsing through the woods, they're going to be loud and scare away any potential meals for you. And I used to work in a zoo with Canadian lynx, a little different from Eurasian lynx. Yeah, it's a lot of fun, but they're also not very friendly animals. They don't like people. So it is strange that they were just sort of cool and chill with people. Again, like I said, it suggests that they were almost definitely in captivity around some humans and deliberately released. But it gets even weirder than that because 2 more lynx after these first 2 were spotted in the same area just 1 day after the first pair was caught, and that would be on the morning of January the 9th.
Oh my. So there was more lynx. So what happened to these new lynx? Were they just baited the same way?
Yeah, really similarly, they did the exact same thing where some of the zookeepers from the RZSS came. They brought traps, baited them. And these ones, they were transported to the Highland National Wildlife Park. I think that was because they didn't have enough space at the Edinburgh Zoo. It's normally what happens in zoos. If you don't have space at one, you take them to another. And after initial visit, they thought that they were in good health, but sadly, one of them passed away overnight.
Oh no.
So sad.
Yeah, they're still not quite sure why that it passed away, but they're going to do an autopsy on it. They're going to figure out the cause of death. Right now, it could have been because the lynx, they were actually starving. It seemed like they were not hunting at all when they were outside. They were eating pretty readily when they got captured. It's also pretty stressful. It's been really snowy and cold in Scotland, so that could have also been contributing factors to their deaths.
So have the experts figured out why exactly these lynx were roaming around free in the Scottish Highlands yet?
Not yet. They're still investigating it. One theory is that they were just someone's pets. Someone had these 4 lynx. Yeah, it is illegal. Don't go and try to get a lynx for fun. And then they dumped them for one reason or another. Either they got tired of them or they're too much to take care of. But they are wild animals, so they're not easy to take care of. And then something that's a little more interesting is the rogue rewilding theory, which is that people were tired with this sort of stalled progress in lynx reintroduction measures, because it's been a thing in Scotland for a few years where some conservation groups have wanted to reintroduce lynx into Scotland. Someone might have got tired of this sort of slow progress and decided, you know what, I'm gonna let these lynx out on my own.
Oh my, I'm just imagining like someone in their lair, like a vigilante rewilder, just de-extincting the lynx themselves. But there must be some issues with rogue rewilding. Wow, that's a mouthful.
Yeah, so kind of, in this issue with the starving lynx, that it's an animal welfare issue. You can never guarantee you can never guarantee good outcomes if you aren't an expert. There's just people in the area aren't used to these predators, and they don't have any choice in it if someone decides to take it in their own hands. We really need like conservationists and ecologists and people working with the community to decide if this is the right thing to do.
Yeah, that's so interesting. So just quickly, is there anything else you need to say about this?
Yeah, I want to thank Claire Diamond, Jamie McIvor, Catherine List, and Katie Scott from BBC Scotland News, and Stephen McKenzie from BBC Scotland Highlands and Islands. Their reporting helped make this possible, and I also want to thank my boyfriend Daniel, who is a lovely Scot, and he helped me pronounce the names of the Scottish places.
That's so cute. Now, if you're interested in this story or any others, please get in touch with us. You can email us via scienceat19@gmail. That's 9 written as a number, so that's science, ONE, number 9 @gmail.com.
Or if you're watching online, comment in the YouTube live chat.
We cannot wait to hear from you. Our next song is My Little Corner of the World by Yo La Tengo.
that was My Little Corner of the World by Yolatengo.
Our next story is about how generational alcoholism can change how alcohol affects you.
With some very interesting research techniques being used.
Here to talk about it is Sydney. Welcome to the show, Sydney.
Hi, thanks for having me.
Pleasure.
So this morning I was reading this really silly article about why alcohol affects people in different ways. And I don't really mean silly as in like the science is wrong or anything like that. Just that it didn't really go in the direction I thought it was going to go.
Can you expand on that?
So it starts initially just by talking about how alcohol is broken down like at the molecular level by these two enzymes, alcohol dehydrogenase and aldehyde dehydrogenase.
Right.
And then some people have ones that are a little bit better at breaking down alcohol than others, which can affect things like flushing, or any other types of, effects that alcohol has on people. But the really fun part was about how this article starts talking about static ataxia, I think is how you pronounce it.
What's that?
So it's a term that's used to talk about like the body sway, when some people, they drink a little too much and they can't walk in a straight line anymore. So that's what that's about. And so a previous study had showed that those with a family history of alcoholism actually had less of this body sway when they drink than those who don't have this family history.
That's so interesting. Did they have like ideas of why that might be?
So the article pointed to the cerebellum and the brain. So the brain has something called GABA receptors, which when they're stimulated, reduce the number of neurons that are being fired in your brain. And when this is done in the cerebellum, that means that we move a little bit more sluggishly. So this is where the article got really funny. So a researcher decided to take that and kind of run with the idea at Washington State University, and they wanted to see how motor skills are affected in essentially drunk mice.
Okay.
Yeah, I know.
Okay, you're gonna need to tell us a bit more about that.
So it's so silly. And again, that's not how the article started off. It started talking about humans and then it goes to this. So in this study, they gave alcohol to mice with various tolerances to alcohol and had them move along a spinning rod.
A spinning rod.
So a spinning rod is a little hard to describe, but have you ever, do you know what log rolling is?
Yeah.
More or less.
Yeah, like, where people are bouncing on a log and they like are in a river and they have to like spin the log and not fall off.
Right. Yeah.
So it's essentially that, but it's suspended in air, not in water. So they, so they gave these mice with varying tolerances some alcohol. And I quote, they said that the ones that really liked to drink were less wobbly and could stay on the rod rather than the lightweight mice who would tumble off.
Oh, man.
I looked for a video on this and I couldn't find one, which was really unfortunate. So basically, the study showed that mice who had more tolerance to alcohol had less GABA receptor stimulation in the cerebellum, which meant that there was less motor function inhibition, so they could actually stay more balanced. So with repeated alcohol consumption, GABA receptors could be downregulated, which allows the mice to stay functional while being tipsy. And they were trying to draw some type of correlation that potentially this could be given to or transferred to humans as well, as just one factor that could influence how much we tolerate alcohol.
That is so interesting. I'll definitely be thinking about this every time I'm around drunk people for probably the rest of my life.
As you should.
Well, thank you so much for coming in and telling us about that story, Sydney. Our next song is going to be Bright Lights, Bigger City by CeeLo Green.
know that you're just mine. I'm alive this evening. It was love at first sight. This Saturday and every Saturday for the rest of my life. And everyone standing in line. Yeah, looking good and looking for a real good time. So I'll never have to wonder if I'll have someone to share all of this with. And it's alright, alright, it's alright, it's alright, it's alright. Bright lights every city belongs to us tonight. Yes, I need everybody cocktails and conversation, music and making love. And it's alright, alright, it's alright, it's alright, it's alright. Bright lights and the big city, it belongs to us tonight. Bright lights, bright lights, bright lights and the big city, it belongs to us
That was Bright Lights, Bigger City by CeeLo Green. You're listening to IC Radio, and this is Science at 1 with me, Lottie.
And me, Georgia. Still to come on the show is a science news update from Olivia.
And an interesting story about how ancient ice bubbles can teach us more about climate.
But first, here's our next track, Dira by Saint Levant and MC Abdul.
تركنا المدينة الغربة الحزينة سلم لي عريحة وسلم عالديرة يا طير الطاير الأرض الكريمة يخدوش اللي فينا سلم لي عريحة وسلم عالديرة يا طير الطاير بين النهر والجبال بلاقي انتمائي بين الشط والرمال بداية حياتي علق يا وطن فرحة ومآسي علق وطن الغالي فلسطين حبيبة تنادي
heavy nights, praying that my family can stay alive. Imagine trying to fly with no wings, but I promise you the cage birds sing in the wintertime. Heavy nights, big dreams, praying that we make it to 16. And even though I travel the world, مش ملاقي زي فلسطين.
فات الوقت يا عمري راحوا سنين مناسي هدي عوامر الخطر مجروح فات الوقت يا عمري راحوا سنين مناسي هدي عوامر الخطر مجروح
That was Dira by Saint Laurent and MC Abdul.
Now it is time for our science news segment brought to us by Olivia. Welcome to the show, Olivia.
Thanks, guys. Hi, Lottie. Hi, Georgia.
Hello. Pleasure to have you.
Thank you. Well, actually, never mind the holidays. Do you know what? Because science never waits. And scientists have been busy and they've been publishing out fascinating research. So I looked a little bit and I thought I'd pick a few things. So there's one on AI designing anti-venoms, and there's also a story about how you can hand feed red squirrels, but it actually might be a little dangerous. So exciting stuff ahead.
I can't wait to hear. Let's get into it.
Okay, so our first headline comes from the Technical University of Denmark, and the researchers have been using new AI and deep learning technologies to design new proteins that we can use as anti-venom.
Ooh.
I know, right? Crazy. Insane.
Yeah, so...
and so in their experiments, basically they dose the mice with snake venom, and then they treat the mice with the new anti-venom that AI designed. Oh. And all of the mice survived.
Whoa. So why are those results significant for research then, Olivia?
Well, so I don't know if you know, but the 2024 Nobel in Chemistry was awarded for this new AI that helps predict protein structure.
Right.
And, yeah, exactly. AlphaFold it's called. And from there, they've used a technology close to AlphaFold that now can be able to predict protein based on binding patterns. And so we can now see real-life applications to these new technologies.
Huh. There you go. That's a great first story. Have you got any other news?
I do. Crazy. So I'm sure all of our UK listeners will be familiar with the beloved red squirrels. These cute little furballs are protected because they're actually endangered. I'm sure you know that. But the invasive grey squirrels, population coming from the US and Canada mainly, are taking over their place in the UK. And so a lot of people want to help squirrels and they feed them peanuts, but that actually might be doing them a disservice, because researchers at the University of Edinburgh have compared the skulls of hand-fed squirrels to those of wild squirrels. And it actually turns out that the hand-fed squirrels have significantly lost their bite force.
Oh no.
That's really sad.
And so basically the hypothesis is that by giving them nuts are a lot easier to get into compared to like acorns, chestnuts that are their natural diet, their skulls have evolved and lose some of their bite force. And that actually has been shown that bone density can change quite quickly compared to other aspects of the body.
I know they feed the red squirrels on Anglesey, which is like a stronghold of the native red squirrel population, and they have big feeding schemes there, so that's not good.
That's not great. Now, is there any other news, Olivia?
Yes. I actually have more news. Crazy. I've looked into research, and my third headline is so cool as into DNA analysis of Iron Age Celtic communities and how they show that actually women might have had really strong leadership role in those communities.
Huh. Now that's super interesting, but how could you possibly deduce that from DNA analysis?
Well, it's actually very smart. What they did is researchers at the University of Dublin, that have looked at mitochondrial DNA. I don't know if you know that, but mitochondrial DNA is actually inherited from the mum always. And so when you look at the mitochondrial DNA of remains from one community, they show that all of the mitochondrial DNA of women is shares common ancestry, so it comes from the same lineage, basically.
Right.
But the mitochondrial DNA from the male remains actually show that they do not share that common ancestry. And so what does that actually mean? Well, it means that the women stay in those communities and men come in to marry into those communities.
Oh, fascinating.
Yeah.
So does this show then that women have a really strong role in that societal organisation?
Yes, so this is called matrilocality, and basically it's where the marriage patterns are centered around women, and it shows, and it's been shown multiple times that it's conducive to women wielding significant community power, because basically the lineage goes through the mums and the women rather than the men. And so these practices also were strong, were denoted in multiple Roman texts in Celtic communities. So have been here in the UK for a long time.
That is so interesting. It's amazing what you can learn about history just from science as well. Crazy. So much interesting science news, as always, Olivia. Now, our next song is going to be The Air Between Our Fingers by the White Stripes. Stay tuned.
Life is so boring, it's really got me snoring. I'm wearing out the flooring in a cheap hotel, but I don't have to work it. I might be silly, but I'm never gonna have to hear the wings of school bells. Do, 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 do. You told me in December that a boy is not a man until he makes a stand. Well, I'm not a genius, but maybe you'll remember this. I never said I ever wanted to be a man. Do, 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 when she comes around, and when she comes around, and when she comes around. I get nervous when she comes around, and when she comes around, and when she comes around. I get nervous when she comes around, and when she comes around, and when she comes around. I get nervous when she comes around, and when she comes around, and when she comes around. So caring, she's really got me staring at all the crazy little things she does for sure. And I can't seem to think of another kind of love that a boy could ever get from anyone but her. When she comes around, and when she comes around, and when she comes around. I get nervous when she comes around, and when she comes around, and when she comes around. Yeah. I get nervous when she comes around, when she comes around, and when she comes around. I get nervous when she comes around, and when she comes around, and when she comes around.
That was The Air Between Our Fingers by the White Stripes.
Great song. Now, Lottie, I have to say, I heard you talking earlier in the show about ancient bubbles, and I really cannot, for the life of me, fathom what you mean by that. Please enlighten me.
Absolutely. So this is a bit weird, but you know, Lottie Law, I was really, when I was younger, I really wanted to work with ice cores specifically.
Brr.
Yeah, but actually I'm not very good at chemistry, so that dream quickly died. But anyway, so this was obviously it really appealed to me when I saw this science story this morning. And it's basically these scientists have dug out a super long cylinder of ice in Antarctica, and it's called an ice core. It's a big cylinder of ice that they've just drilled down, basically. And that's helping them figure out what happened to our climate 1.2 million years ago.
Unfathomable amount of time.
It's a long, long time. And it's a really long bit of ice. Like chunky, well, not chunky because it's a cylinder, but it's a long bit of ice. And it's 2.8 kilometres long.
How do you even collect 2.8 kilometres of
it's
ice?
8 Eiffel Towers.
Where do you store such a thing?
Well, this is the thing. Fun fact, they've actually chomped it into 1 metre chunks. Because they couldn't obviously transport the
that's some clever thinking.
Yeah, I mean, I could have thought that, but yeah. So it's a really long bit of ice, but it's really the special thing is it's really, really old. It's the oldest sort of chunk of ice they've managed to get.
Oh, that's very interesting. So, what does this mean? Like, what can you do now that you have ice cores? You melt it?
Well, not exactly. We need to keep it. So they've actually have to keep it, I think it's like minus 50 Celsius, I don't know, like, to transport these ice cores.
That's
so
no
they don't
London
melt.
winter.
Exactly. And what they've done is when they've chunked it into 1 metre blocks, they can then transport it to their different institutions where the scientists are researching and looking into the ice cores, because they're trying to find out what happened to our climate back then. And so what they can do is in the ice cores, you can see trapped bubbles of air and particles. They've even seen ash from like historic volcanic eruptions.
Fascinating.
Which is really cool, and I was really geeky about that when I was younger. And it's sort of like, a diary, but the Earth's diary. So they can also see greenhouse gas emissions and temperature variation, which can then help scientists figure out how the climate has changed over time. And it was actually ice core evidence. Fun fact, it was actually thanks to ice cores that scientists were able to prove greenhouse gases emitted by the burning of fossil fuels by humans was responsible for the current rise in temperature. So it was a really important piece of evidence.
Yeah, so this is like a pretty established but still cutting edge research technique, it sounds like.
Exactly.
That's so interesting. So what is the current finding that they have now that they have these millions-year-old 2.8 kilometers ice cores?
Yeah, so this ice core, I can't remember, it's called Epica or something, I don't know, can't remember. But this ice core being used is trying to find out particularly the research question about what was happening between 900,000 and 1.2 million years ago, in which there was a change in glacial cycles. And that's been known for some time, but it's thought that this change nearly wiped out our ancestors. So it was a big climate effect which nearly led to humans going extinct. So the scientists are using this really old ice core to try and work out the relationship between this climatic change and the humans nearly going extinct.
Whoa. Imagine the world we'd be in right now if not we, but imagine the state of planet Earth would be if humans had gone extinct. What was it? 900,000 years ago? 1.2 million years ago?
They don't know.
Oh, jeez Louise.
Yeah.
Don't even get me started.
Yeah.
There'd be no ice cream. For one thing.
It's crazy to me, they were saying, when I was reading this article, there were only 1,000 ancestor humans at that time.
So it wouldn't have been
that
hard.
It was really close. It was touch and go for us.
Probably easier than we're making it for ourselves now to make humans go extinct.
Yeah, exactly.
Which we're making light work of that, let me tell you. Not to get all morbid at the end of the show, but we have heard a bit about climate disasters now.
Yeah, it's been quite well, not doom and gloom, but...
No, not doom and gloom. We had that wonderful story about lynxes as well.
Oh, yeah.
Now, let's not be too morbid.
Yeah.
Should we play our next song?
Yes, let's play our next song, which is There She Goes by The Laws.
Woo!
That was There She Goes by the Lars.
Love that song. And you know what? I loved doing this radio show with you today, Lottie. How do you feel? Our first time as presenters on Science at One.
I feel good. I only laughed once on live.
Only once when we weren't
So,
supposed to. It's a
yeah.
really fun experience. I loved learning so many new science things from all of our guest presenters. We have some of them back in the studio with us now. Maddie, Sydney, Olivia, do any of you have any feelings about your first time on Science at One?
Oh, I thought it went really well. I was so surprised. Like, I was expecting to eat over my words, and I didn't do that bad. So,
No,
woohoo.
great work, I would say.
A win.
Yeah, I feel like we all were a little bit more confident than we might have been in, like, literally an hour ago. So that's good.
Yeah, that's great.
My syntax was close to what English actually is, which I think is a win.
Yay! Second learn many languages.
Yeah.
Too many, one would say.
Yeah, just enough, I would say. I think if you, as a longtime listener, it was such a dream come true to be on Science at
A real
One.
dream come
A
true.
real dream come true. I've been listening for so long I couldn't even remember, and I love Science at One. I love the Science at One team, and I cannot wait to keep chatting with you all and the rest of the team throughout the rest of this term. I think we've got a lot of fun news stories planned, fun interviews coming up, and we hope you all keep coming back every week at 1 on Thursdays. Does anyone have any last calls? Remember, you can get in touch with us by emailing science19@gmail.com. That's SCIENCEONE9 at gmail.com. Or as always, please keep the chats coming in our YouTube feed.
Please spread the chats. We want to grow this.
Yeah. Share this video to all of your friends on the
Instagram.
replay after you hear it.
And you can mention any new science stories as well.
Yes, if there's anything you want us to cover, please let us know. We are happy to do whatever our fans
And if
crave
there's
from
any
us.
themes or something that someone wants us to explore.
Yeah, that's true. We're going to start having themed weeks starting next week. And we will be back. Thank you all.
Thank you.
Thanks, everyone.
Bye.
Bye.